Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. I am live now. Hello and greetings. I am going to set things up and then I'm going to do the funny. Yo, how's it going? I I just finished up my morning. I had a breakfast burrito. It was pretty good. Let me set up my music. Wrong thing. I opened up Blender instead of my music. Truly tragic. There we go. Ah, yeah, how are you today? It's good to see you. Today I'm going to be working on, as I said in the notification, a world map. I don't think this is set in the setting I've been working on, because I've just been doing this on the side. This is, and let me switch over real quick. This massive work in progress. If I can delete this stuff, there we go. This is the progress I've made so far. This is the world map for the game, for the funny game. This is not going to be like, how do I put this? The game's not going to take place in this whole thing because that's absurd. Uh, however, this I need to have this in place so that I can decide like where different things come from and then I can set stuff up from there. I mean, I'm kinda. I blatantly got inspired on this from basically imagining, well, this north part here, imagining North America, but if instead of everything else there was the Mediterranean there. So I did that. I decided to get rid of this because I realized that a big island here wouldn't work, and that would just be Greenland. And honestly, it messed up the silhouette of this whole thing a little bit. I would rather we didn't. I would rather we didn't. Let's see, there's this, and this part here, this funny island, has sort of been the center of everything in my mind since like 2019. I've been developing this world and this map for a while now. I think 2019 is about 6 years now. Yeah, exactly. Sink it into the sea. Erase the big glacier in it so that we have a big lake resort. The Mediterranean of the North, we'll call it, and then we'll set up a bunch of resorts and such. It'll be very funny. I drew a bunch of like mountains around this. Like as you can probably see from this, like under sketch thing here, which I draw on my phone. Yeah, exactly. We need we need no, exactly. We need to fill in the Grand Canyon to make room for more parking lots and Walmarts. Like, clearly that's what the world needs. Flatten the Himalayas, make the God Emperor Mankind's palace on there somewhere. Uh, you know, it would be epic. It would be cool. There would be no problems. Nothing bad would ever happen. Alright, I'm going to make these layers invisible so I just have this one to worry about. Yeah, we should turn the pyramids of Giza into data banks where we can set up a big like AI crypto farm. No, that's better. Make it Bass Pro Shop pyramids. We need to spread the Bass Pro Shop. Yeah, exactly. It's so funny that the Bass Pro Shop pyramid, I believe, is the largest pyramid in the Americas. Like at this point, I think it's the largest. Like I'm gonna need to fact check myself on that, but I think it's the largest. Let's see. It is 321 feet, 98 meters, about 32 stories tall, and has a base of 100, has base sides of 180 meters. It is said to measure the 10th tallest pyramid in the world. So it's not the biggest, but it's the 10th biggest. It it's that is a way too big for a Bass Pro Shop. Yeah, evaporate all the oceans, uh set up a temporary Thunder Warriors program, and all the while in the Himalayas have the funny Custodes program. Uh, nothing could go wrong. Okay, so I'm going to. Yeah, exactly. We need to do what Vector did in Despicable Me 1 and steal the other pyramids. Replace them with big funny inflatable versions to hide that we stole them. And then once we're done, pop the inflatable ones and underneath our Bass Pro Shops. The beautiful thing with drawing mountains is that there's not really a rhyme or reason to them so much. However, you'll know when they look wrong. I mean, there is rhyme or reason, but I mean like drawing them, not how they're formed. How they're formed is very predictable, actually, and it's pretty neat. Ugh. Yeah, we do that a lot, huh? Ugh. Yeah, you know what? You know what we also need to do? We need to erase all of London, right? We need to erase all of London, and then on it create the biggest Bass Pro Shop pyramid in all of human history. Is my connection good? Hold on. Oh, is my voice not working? Hold on. No, my PNG tuber's not working. Why is it not working? Give me just a moment. I'm minimizing a bunch of stuff to see what's the deal. Task manager? Kill him. Thank you. Thank you, task manager. No, I don't want to expand it to full screen. There we go. Thank you. There we go. Now it's working. Alright, sick. And then I can get that back up. And now we're golden. I'm missing a layer that I need to do the funny. There we go. We need to erase all stone pyramids and make them hollow edifices of our consumerism. The past couple of days I've been trying to learn how to sing Bella Ciao because I really like the song, but I don't speak Italian. Yeah, exactly. The amateur acidists, get out of here. Get out of here. You're not wanted anymore. This whole part here is what I've been focusing my brain power on, which is an issue because I want to have everything. I want everything the world has to offer and more. Okay, so I know for a fact that my funny bug dwarves mostly like live around this range, right around here, which we'll get to eventually. I need to learn about them as I go along. Otherwise, uh, my brain doesn't do world building otherwise. Um, the elves are all over, just like all over, uh, all over this northern bit. There's also the funny birds, the funny bird dragon people, which I know live around here, and I think they stretch down to about there. So like they probably have about this range. Whenever I decide to focus on vaguely human beings, I believe that they are from. I'm trying to think of which part of this they're from, because I don't want them to be from everywhere here. But they could be. They very well could be. I think that they're probably from around like that area. Clearly Fantasy Africa. Yes, of course. I don't. While I wanted this northern bit here to be vaguely kind of like North America, with like, this being Alaska, this being the Pacific coast, the Rockies splitting off to the Cascades, uh much older mountains here, fertile land here, stuff like that. Like I want that. I don't want this world to just be like haha fantasy Earth, because that's boring. D&D does that and I don't like it. I don't like that D&D does that, because I don't know, our world is interesting enough. Yeah, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads. That's another song I really like. I want to do karaoke more. Yeah, West Virginia. I love that song. I started learning how to sing that song when the Fallout 76 trailer came out, because that they made the best version of that song. Right? Like that's the best version. It's so good. Shenandoah River, life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like the breeze. And I'm thinking, don't pay attention to these islands. I think that these islands are gone, or I might rework them significantly. Hmm. I mean, I guess the John Denver version is good. I mean, the song's good, right? So anybody singing it well, uh, does it good. But I personally really like that much deeper voice. I don't know. I like when songs are sung with a deep voice. It makes me feel good. How am I going to do this? I figured it out. I'm built different. So basic shape, I think that there is a bit of flat land around here along the coast. And then it's sort of like that, so that there's this sort of Actually, yeah, I think I'll have this meet up down here. This will make a sort of fertile valley that goes up to that big bay. Then I will have mountains sort of come down this way. No, I don't think I've heard the that particular one. Let me look it up real quick. Whisper of the Heart Country Roads. Oh, it's a Ghibli film. I love Ghibli. I we used to have Ponyo a while ago, and then we stopped having it for some reason, which is a shame. But we got it again. We have Ponyo again. I love Ponyo. And I can't believe the US used to actually make stuff, you know, that was... I can't, you know, we don't do that anymore. Really. Shame. Okay, sort of basic shape. And then you sort of get that up like that, or I could have it more like so. Have it a bit softer. Not a bad shape, not a bad shape at all. And the shape will basically follow the coast, so I'm gonna do that in a bit once I get all the basic shapes in. Now, what's interesting about this part of the world, and I've been thinking about it a lot, is that because of... Let me actually get a color that I'm not going to be using for the actual map to sort of illustrate stuff, so I don't have to get confused and forget stuff. Because of this big long arm of stuff here, the ocean current gets to take warm water up and over, and it does a really funny circulation, which means that this coast is wetter and warmer than it otherwise would be due to latitude, which is pretty neat. And because of this, there's a bit of rain shadow, which means this is a lot wetter than this side. But then because of all this, it picks up water again, and then you get a lot of rain in an equatorial region, which means you get really big rainforests there, which is pretty cool. But there are going to be massive mountains here, which means that this area gets to be a lot more arid and dry. Because that's how rain shadows work. And so I also I want to do multiple versions of this map. Right now I'm doing a topographical map because that's the foundation of stuff. I think it's like actual layout and elevation. So that's what I'm doing now. However, I want to get to climates and stuff. Oh god, I love The Future is Wild. Oh, I love that so much. That's like one of my favorite like sciencey things that I saw as a kid. I get to have some pretty wide but otherwise flatter stuff here. Oh, Man After Man is really cool. Uh, I kind of prefer what's it called? It's All Tomorrows. Yep, I love All Tomorrow. I not All Tomorrow. Yeah, All Tomorrows. I also really like his speculative like behavior book called All Yesterdays, where it's like theorizing about dinosaur behaviors, like having protoceratops in trees, like how some goats are in trees, stuff like that. It's very cool. There's also the Darwin 4 series. That's a really interesting speculative evolution series, which I'm a massive fan of. I grew up watching the mockumentary, uh, like short series that was based on like the actual book. I really like Weird Aliens. Weird Aliens are very cool and deserve to be talked about just in general. I like aliens. Let's see, there we are. I'm trying to figure out what kind of climate this would be, but I'll figure that out once I learn more about how climate works. It's probably a drier, more arid, like grassland area, maybe. Because there's like this, and then it goes over that, and then this. So like how, all right, so like how here in the Pacific Northwest region, you would have like the coastal range, then the Cascades, and then you would get to like the eastern Pacific Northwest, then more mountains, and then Great Plains. I would say you're gonna have to explain that a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Like I Oh right. No, sorry. It's just my brain blanked for a moment. I love the Weird Al biopic so much. I watched it with my friends when it was like still like a new movie. I don't know why I thought going in that it would be an actual like telling of his actual life and not like the funniest thing known to man. Radcliffe did a great job as Weird Al, I think. How is this going to come back to this? I think I have an answer. The answer is quite simple. I like drawing funny basins. Even if they don't quite make sense, sometimes basins just don't make sense. Oh yeah, true. Right? Okay. I like how these mountains are sort of coming out. I mean, these are more like the foothills, but still. Like a killer. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Our geology here is really, really interesting because you'll see the Cascade Range, and it's a very volcanic range because it's on the Pacific Ring of Fire. However, just a bit more east, you'll see the Rockies, which is more due to the squishing of the continental plate, making them rise up. So you'll see a bunch of different kinds of mountain forming in such a small area. Uh, Ring of Fire. Birds, 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 the holy ring of fire. I in geology it's fascinating because the same sort of geological happenings that create the all the volcanoes in like East and Southeast Asia are the same ones that are creating a lot of the volcanism and the tectonic activity on the west coast of the Americas, and it's all the Ring of Fire, baby. A ring of extreme volcanism as we all go on top of the Pacific plate. And so in the formation of the more coastal mountains here is going to be more like volcanoes and such, and on more like these ones here. Wrong color. This is my demonstrating color. Latitudes be gone. Thank you. So like the mountains more in like this region are more due to tectonic crunching, so they'll probably have like more sedimentary rock. Whereas areas like this region and all the way down to here, and I'm thinking down here as well, will be more volcanic. And that does change how mountains look. Because tectonic squishing mountains have really fun banding. Like if you look at the Himalayas or the Rockies or a lot of, I think most of the mountains in Europe, they also have this where it's a bunch of tectonic scrunching. And so you get some really neat bands. You can also kind of see it in the Appalachians, but a bit less so, because I think part of that is because of glacial activity. I think, don't quote me on that. I'm kind of forgetting exactly what is going on there. I get to do something epic and cool and fun. Super cool and fun. I get to do really tight band hills. That's not what they're officially called, that's just what I'm calling them. I'm calling them band hills because they're like long strips of rock that scrunch. You can also see it here a bit in like Eastern Oregon, because like or specifically southeastern Oregon, because that's known as the Basin and Range region, and so you'll be able to see like a bunch of stuff like this. It's a little hidden by erosion, because erosion does funny things to rocks that are super cool. And I'm doing them wrong here, so I'm gonna undo them. So you can find some absolutely beautiful landscapes. One thing I'll also have to take into account is volcanic hotspots. Like how there's one in Yellowstone, and there are a bunch in Arizona, New Mexico, and stuff like that. Because sometimes there's just pockets of lava in places where there's not really any explanation besides, yep, it's there. Yeah, it's there. So now there are like 600 plus volcanoes that people aren't even naming anymore. There are so many. And why is it there? I guess there's just lava. And that's also why Hawaii is a thing. And it's super cool, but also makes no sense, and you can just kind of dot them in the middle of tectonic plates. One thing that's interesting about the process of how I do this specifically is that because I learned how to do topographical maps from Artifexian, highly recommend his stuff. He's doing a world building series that's really been helping me out a lot and has been teaching a lot of things. But because I learned it from him, uh, I do everything in meters, which is the right way to do things. But you know, this is America where we don't use meters. Yeah, he's super rad. I love his stuff. Now, I'm thinking maybe if I can get the layout. I think the tower where this takes place is probably going to be around here. Maybe not that large, but that's the circle of like it's got to be at this place because it allows it to be like in the middle of a sea while still having having a bunch of different people, like a bunch of different groups of people and other life to sort of be able to reach there, which gives me a reason to have things. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think that's a good idea. So I'm going to get rid of all of these so that I will not get distracted while I do the cool thing of drawing mountains. Sometimes I just draw on this map, not even to do anything final, just because drawing mountains really helps me turn my brain off. It's sort of a meditative process. I think here is a big mountain. Here, like a big volcano. I think around here is a still big but smaller one. I think there's like a even smaller one right around there. Small one around here and there. This will also help because lava flows are very important. Basalt is my favorite rock. Which I know that's sort of a basic stone to have as your favorite mineral. But I like it. It's very pretty and it can form into hexagonal columns. Which we get here sometimes. It's just that it's a lot less prominent than places like the Giant's Causeway. because oftentimes it's on the side of a cliff instead of like the hexagons being the surface. But if you know where to look, you can find some very pretty hexagonal columns. Basalt is quite high in iron and a bunch of uh, other metals. So when it sort of grinds down due to sediment, like the process of rock turning to sediment, it becomes really rich, fertile land. So oftentimes places with a lot of volcanic activity will have some of the highest levels of biodiversity. Because just the soil is a lot better because of the volcanoes. Another thing I love about where I live is that our landscape is so varied. Right? We have landscapes, we have that vary from like temperate rainforest all the way to arid rocky desert. We have sand dunes, we have scrubland, we have Mediterranean climates, we had savanna, but we got rid of it. We used to have a whole bayou, right? We had an actual bayou, which I hope that we can reconstruct due to environmental efforts. Right? Like it's so varied and beautiful, and if I can manage to create something that's half as varied and beautiful as that in my work, then I will consider that one of my largest successes. Because our world is beautiful and I'd like to see more of it. I've at least driven through like a bunch of states, and it's mostly on the west half of the U.S. And you know, there's sort of no words to really describe it. And I guess that's why sort of I didn't want to do an eraser mark. That's sort of why like in general this whole area and this whole area is what I'm focusing on, because that sort of environment is what I have real life context for. Let's see, where to next here. I just remembered a fun fact I learned about Hawaii, sort of going back to that and having something that's sort of in the middle of everything. Is I think roughly like 12% of the biomass of the Hawaiian Islands is entirely Hawaiian. Like it evolved from things that managed to island hop from island to island to island in Hawaii as new islands are formed from the volcanic hotspot. And so while uh there's a lot of like stuff that came to Hawaii from the places that are around the Pacific, uh the fact that the fact that they have a lot of their own is quite nice. Because a lot of times well, it's not a small island, but like small island chains usually don't have that kind of uh like unique biodiversity too much. Like there's Madagascar, there was New Zealand, but we've sort of ruined that. There's Galapagos. Well, there's still Galapagos, and then there's Hawaii. Mountains, mountains are pretty cool. Thank you, my Twitch chat thing for uh catching a likely van evader. I don't know what that means, but it looks like somebody who's doing a bad thing. There we go. Banned again. I do not want bots telling me to do things. Oh no, you didn't see it. I keep getting bots that are like, do you want to buy cheap viewers? And my auto mod is catching them, and it's kind of annoying because I do not want cheap viewers. You know, one thing I really like to draw to a point where it's a lot more than would be in reality is sort of island arcs and island chains. Like you can see there's a bunch of just islands in a line, islands in a line, more in a line, many more in a line, another line. And like you can see a bunch of them. But just because it's really fun. And I know it's not quite like accurate. But sometimes you have to acknowledge that something you're doing is not accurate and just do it anyway if you like it. Because sometimes what is fun is better than what is accurate. I also like drawing mountains that don't quite make sense. Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 partigiano, via, in la sor, taratatara, 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 I think this needs more shape. I think that's what my problem is. That's not good. That looks more like a delta than squimsh. Man, I'm gonna love hearing myself do that in the recording. In the meantime, it's fun to do, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Ciao, 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 partigiano. Oh, that's a fun. I don't know how accurate that'll be, but that's a fun thing to do. Here's me drawing more of these, bigger and bigger, until they sort of take over this area. If I do so. Ah, things are coming together. Very good. Hills and such like this also make really, really interesting looking rivers because they sort of weave around the squishing, or just cut through it and make an even more interesting valley. So either way, it's kind of just a win-win. Something that's interesting about regions like what I'm making is that they don't really facilitate large permanent agricultural societies. However, in places like here in the Pacific Northwest, uh, we're sort of realizing, uh, like in anthropology, sort of realizing that uh, agriculture is not a sign of civilization necessarily, because we're seeing, or a lot of the native people here, uh, have a really, like, I think some of the oldest in all of the Americas, like, tradition of a really complex silvicultural system. So basically, like, shaping the environment to better fit your needs rather than like completely cutting it out with like agriculture, which also means that they much like a lot of other people around the globe would entirely shape their ecosystems, which is why we for the longest time, before before Europeans and Americans got here, had really cool Oakland savanna, because there's a complex system of controlled burns and controlled planting, to just better suit people. That ended up making the land here a very fertile agricultural land, turns out. I mean, that and the Willamette Valley happening to be a river valley. Which means, but all of that to say, whoever I put here. Oh yeah, have a good dinner. Tell me how it goes once you get back. Yeah, so that sort of helps me dictate what kind of, like, what sort of environmental conditions are here in this funny fictional world, that sort of and what does that facilitate for the creatures and people that live here. Like, for instance, the elves. What does it mean to be in this kind of region for a group of walking, talking, sentient plants? Right? Because they have different material conditions and needs than, like, us and other animals have and need. And, like, how would they shape the ecosystem? Da-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Another thing that these kind of mountains allow me to do is to have really long mountain ridges. Da, 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 da. Is the way I'm drawing it necessarily the most accurate? No. But is it based off my current knowledge? Absolutely. Mix that in with the erosive carving of rivers. I love a deep river valley, as you could clearly see. Especially right here. I love river valleys. They're so fun to draw, and they're so beautiful. Like for instance, the Grand Canyon. Absolutely fucking gorgeous. I want to go back and see Arizona one day. I heard the sunsets are to die for. Now, I've been to South Dakota, and let me tell you, those sunsets are some of the best I've ever seen. And seeing the night sky in Montana, like actually being able to see the night sky, completely changed my mentality of life. Because, like, I've mostly ever experienced cities where there's a bunch of light pollution, which means that you don't really get the chance to really see the night sky. Like, maybe you'll see a couple of stars in the moon, but this was, I saw the entire arm of the Milky Way that we are on. I, it's, I cannot just, it's indescribable how, like, just beautiful it is. I really don't know, like, no, like, nothing really, like, properly can express that kind of thing. Sometimes, and this is sort of a, it's sort of a turn of phrase, or like complete flip of the funny Joker. One bad day, man. One bad day is like sometimes all it takes is one beautiful experience, one fantastic moment. And it can completely change the trajectory of somebody's life. And so maybe it's worth trying to give other people that kind of experience, because you never know. Like, you'll never know what kind of positive effect you'll have by just helping one person. that's sort of, sorry for the pause, and that's sort of what I want to do. Because even if I can only help just that one person, that will make a positive effect on the world. And who knows how much good that one thing could, like, actually do, you know? You could make one person's day, and then they could decide to, like, go out and do activist work because of it, and then they'll be helping a bunch of people, and then those people will go and make their positive effects on the world, and then it'll just, you know, it spreads, and I hope to do that. Because the world, especially here in the United States, is very scary right now. It's very scary and can be pretty horrible. Right, right. I wonder what kind of mythologies this kind of banded, like scrunched land can create. Yes, mountains and hills throughout all human civilization are very important things. Just in general, they're landmarks. They tower over you. They change the way that er, like your entire world is laid out. Volcanoes erupt. Entire crater lakes in mountains are created within the lifetime of human beings. Oh, by the way, did you guys know that the oldest known archaeological find of shoes was found here in Oregon near Crater Lake? And they're older than the lake because we found them underneath volcanic ash from when that mountain erupted. And the crater from that eruption would then go on to create the lake. Because the lake would then fill up. That is a massive change in the world within humanity's lifetime. Not to mention, like, all of how everything changed because of, like, the glaciers arriving and melting. It's like that created and destroyed lakes that influenced the courses of rivers that eroded away mountains. That created fertile land and inland bogs. And large stones where nobody would know how they got there were dropped off. So, like, how all these things happen influence people's lives and the lives of, like, all animals, really, in such fundamental ways. And so, focusing on stuff like geology and geography like this is actually the core of, like, sort of the core of a world, starting all the way with how the plates smack together and pull apart, and how islands arise from the oceans. All the way up to, like, what kind of moon or moons there are and what cycle that has, because of how that influences the tide, which then influences everything else. And all of that influencing the water currents, which influences if it's hot or cold water, if it's going in or offshore, which influences what kind of sea life is on the shore, which influences what kind of life on the land there is, which influences the plants and vice versa, and everything's connected. It's a tall order, but I love working on that kind of thing. I don't like that so much. The reason this here is made like it is because, well, there's the plate tectonics down here. This is also a volcano. So that's why it's shaped the way it is, with the island arc down there, and then a lot more squished and land and such like that. It had a little bit of the banding, but not much. Kinda looks like a fingerprint. Imagine how cool, like, actually getting to play a game with a map like this is. Like, how does that influence it? I'll figure that out. I want to make a bunch of games in this world. I want them all to be connected, but separate. That and then have a little bit like this. And then you get to do a lot of funny things. Like so, and so, and so like this, and maybe even like that, and up. I don't like that. That doesn't have really any rhyme or reason. I'll actually get rid of this here. Thank you, notification. Very good one. The fact that our department, like our environmental guy, or is it Department of Energy? Either way, is a fracking company CEO. Does not bode well. It does not bode well. Because I like the world we live in, and I want it to get better again after we've ruined it so much. Even if we're not a part of that. Yeah, like, even if we stop existing, I want the world to get better. I'm sure it will. Everything changes, but not so drastically. Nothing lasts forever, and that's kind of what makes everything beautiful. Species are born and go extinct. Empires rise and fall. Epochs start and end. The plates shift, the winds change. The currents become unrecognizable, and then things are always just as beautiful as they were, and will continue to be until everything ends. And why not enjoy the journey along the way, you know? I just want to have my time on this earth to be as good, and I want to do as much good as I possibly can. Because I won't be around forever, and nobody will. Except for maybe John Immortal. I think John Immortal might stick around. Oh boy, I just got the message. It's steak time. Steak's good. Steak's not my favorite, but I like it. Not a lot of people I know actually know how to make it properly. They don't know that you're supposed to properly marinate and season it, so that even if it's cooked well done, it's still juicy and flavorful. Right? Like if you know how to properly season and marinate a steak, it doesn't matter how rare or well done it is, it'll still be good. 'Cause I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real honest. I'm pretty sure your guys' food standards are a lot better than ours in the U.S. So we kind of need to a bit more because sometimes the meat here's just mid because it's not taken care of properly. Steak's not my favorite. Anyways, it's good. I like steak, but it's not my favorite. I kind of just like a good piece of chicken better. Chicken's a bit expensive right now because avian flu's going around, and once like one chicken is found to have it, you have to kill all of them. Heresy, no such. No such. The real heretics are the medium rare pork enjoyers. Because you're not supposed to eat pork any way other than well done, because then you could get sick. Same with chicken. I'm sure there are places on Earth where they're actually good to their animals, and so like you won't get sick from that. But that is not here. That is not anywhere I know. I mean, yeah, clearly, uh, like I said, not many people I know know how to make a good steak. And really good steak meat, like a proper sirloin or like a good T-bone, are real expensive. Oh, oh, I would love to try it sous vide. Hold on, I there's a part I don't like, but I can't just undo the funny because I did other things that I like a lot after it. So now I just have to erase. There we go. Ah, I have a couple. So I think I could. It's just steak is a bit out of like a good cut of steak is a bit out of our budget right now. Hi, cat. Let me tell you kind of a cut of meat that I've had that's really good. Some real good barbecue ribs. The secret to a really good barbecue rib, believe it or not, is with the barbecue sauce, which you can make at home. It's not too hard. Is you add stuff like uh cinnamon, a bit of brown sugar. Yeah, I've never had a good tenderloin. Hi, cat. How's it going? I can tell who you were snuggling with right before this because I can smell you. Yeah. Sorry, my cat's on my lap now. Hi. Let me tell you a good cut of meat. Not necessarily to have as a steak, but just a good cut of meat that I like a lot. Is chuck roast. It's that good shoulder meat. It makes a really good pot roast. You stick it in with some seasonings and spices and just let it cook all day. I've never heard caraway. Oh, I big disagree. Massive disagree, especially if you have like an all day pot roast and the meat just like pulls apart and you put it on some real nice mashed potatoes and all the juices sink into the potato. Mwah, so good, c'est magnifique. Yeah, I was looking it up. I've never said caraway. I've always said cumin. Like, I know what cumin is. We have some. Okay, I just looked it up. Caraway is known by many names. Uh, Karaya, Persian cumin, field cumin, meadow cumin, and meridian fennel. So it has a lot of names. A lot of them are cumin, but I wonder if it's like actual cumin. Is caraway cumin? The answer is no, it's just named weird because humans name things weird. You're right. You're very right, and I am calling myself out for being wrong. Uh, let's see, how am I going to do this? There we go. If I have it a bit more like this. The thing I've noticed about mountains is oftentimes you'll see rivers that just kind of do really weird angles and loop around it. It's pretty fun to draw. So, like, for instance, I could actually get away with doing this. And then, sort of pathing what I imagine the river would path like, and then you could just walk, and it goes into the bay. My carry has a kind of lick. Hmm. Well, let me. Feet. I'm guessing that that is something that I'm glad is not here. Then, by the way it sounds of saying it's awful. Well, actually, no, it might be here. They might have decided to bring it here. Nah, I've I've had some real good licorice. Like I somewhat recently I had uh some like salted licorice that was imported from I think Sweden. And it was some of the best licorice I've ever had. So I might like it. I don't know. I might not. It might still be god awful. Um, I'm looking at. It looks like it. I, f- I forget the brand, but there's I got recommended a Norwegian licorice that I was told is pretty good, so I'm gonna need to look into that. What I might do is have a funny little hill like this so that I get to do a funny. Funny is this. This is a lot more work, but it feels very worth it. Huh. Ammonium chloride, an odorless white powder. Solid ammonium chloride is used to make dry batteries and ammonia compounds. Oh, it's also used for soldering flux. Neat. Good to know I can solder with licorice, I guess. There we go. I wonder if that affects the taste any. It probably does. I am learning so many things about candy. Ah, makes sense. Isn't smelling salts also like an ammonia compound? Just looked it up. The reason is because it's the same stuff. Yeah, it turns out compounds can be used for a lot of stuff. You wanna? If you're not gonna leave, I'm gonna close the door. All right. Ah, I recently saw a baking video. I forget the guy's name. Where he used ammonium chloride in cookies as like a rising agent, and apparently it turned out pretty well. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try it. I don't want to smell it like you know make my entire house smell like ammonia. You wanna? Or you just want to check out the hallway? No? Okay. Hmm. What? I really should get to drawing like a little version of my cat Penelope because she is on my lap. Basically every stream she's a co-host. That look good. I'm not. Mm, I'm not sure that. Oh no, I need to keep that. I like that. Remember, kids, if you don't like a part of your art, feel free to delete it. Your art will be better off with it gone than you trying to make it work. I just remembered. There's this paper I did for college, like a good few months back, about the moche culture of modern day Peru, and it makes me so mad how many like artifacts there are that are out of their context, because there are so many really beautiful stirrup vessels with a lot of like important cultural context missing because it was put in private collections and museums. And it's not like where they were originally found anymore, which is like a big part of figuring out archaeology. Is so frustrating. And so we have all of these artifacts from this culture, maybe like 800 years in the past, a bit more, like more than that. They were contemporaries of Babylonians, I believe. So like they were pretty old. But like we have so much like physical remains for like, but we can't use any of it. And the stuff we did have, and then the Spaniards came in and got, there is gold there. I want that gold. And then they just like rerouted an entire river to wear down a very important site. I believe it's called the Huacas de la Sol. And so, like, that's gone now because they eroded it to get to the gold, but, you know, they didn't fucking care about the people that found that place important. I mean, even though the Moche culture had been gone for a few hundred years by that point, and a couple of other cultures came and went before, between them and the Inca. But like, still, like, people still found those places important because they're like very big religious sites. The Huacas. And so we still have Huacas de la Luna, but we don't have de la Sola anymore because the Spaniards. It's so frustrating. One thing that's really, really cool and interesting, speaking of the Moche, is that they had an entire like counting and we're guessing like early stages of a writing system, because all writing systems started out as counting systems, basically. Like a counting system turning into a writing system using different painted and carved beans. Like to the point where on a bunch of vessels we see like the same painted bean guy. And so we know that one, this bean guy was an important figure of some variety. And also we can tell that there's a system to the painting and carving of these beans. But we don't have any context for yet. I should say yet. We don't have any context yet of figuring out what the beans mean. And unlike the Inca with their, I forget their name because I didn't study the Inca so much. Like their writing and numerical system of like the different knots on the ropes. We know about that a lot more because we had people who still use that all the way up until like pretty recently. But with the Moche bean system, it's been replaced for like hundreds and hundreds of years, so we don't have that sort of contemporary context. Yeah, literal bean counters. So I want to do more research on pre-Incan South America, because like the Incans, the Inca are really cool and have a lot of like, and why I say are cool is because there's still Inca around, right? Like the Inca are a modern group of people. It's just that the Incan Empire's gone. So like that's a lot more contemporary history, but pre-Inca is like gone for hundreds of years. Like there's and for obvious reasons of people who move around and do different. Oh, another thing about the moche. I don't know if you misspelled. I don't know if you misspelled that, so I'm gonna look that up real quick. Uh, Everything's saying British, so rip. Yeah, British. Yeah, we all know the British are not real. The British are an illusion. They're an outright fabrication. It's not true. But yeah, no, another thing about the Moche is that they developed really complex irrigation and waterway systems because like where they lived was so arid. So they through necessity figured out these really complex systems to get the little water they had where it needed to go for agriculture. Like it's so cool. It's insanely cool. And it's to the point where people today in the modern countries that we have now are still using some moche waterways and like aqueducts and such because like they just stood the test of time because they're just that good. And of course they're also using a lot of later ones because human invention, much like evolution, is cumulative. Like a lot of the ones that are used are still moche. Yeah, exactly. The Mexico City was I believe specifically the Aztec, which were which I think were the Mexica. Like I think the Mexica were the ones that made the city that would later become Mexico City. So like they're a different group of people. That is an equally cool and impressive instance of like really smart irrigation planning. If you couldn't tell, I love irrigation and city planning. It's so cool. I love it a lot. Another thing that the Moche did is that they weren't the first to do it on Earth, but they independently invented like electroplating. So like you'll see a lot of Moche um artifacts that are like gold plated because they figured out electroplating. At the same thing that at like the same time that Mesopotamia was like doing its civilization thing. Hi, what you want? What's going on? Hi. What you saying, miss? My cat is being very talkative. Hi. And like they were also master blacksmiths. Like no, not blacksmiths because they didn't have iron. Uh really. They were master metalsmiths. Picks up the Baghdad battery and breaks it over my knee. Well, not just goldsmith, like other metals too, like copper. But like they were master metal artisans, and a lot of their techniques would be used in nearly the exact same way by the Inca hundreds of years later because they were just that good. Like the smoothing and metal like forging techniques were just that good. And unfortunately, like these kinds of things are stuff that you're not taught. Not because like, there's any dark, mysterious, like m- malicious purpose behind not teaching people. It's just it's it's a very deep and complex subject. Human history is really long, really complex, and has a lot of different perspectives, so you can only really tell so much of it. I mean, yeah, basically. Like, I I forget the name of them right now. But they were like this confederacy in the Northeast. And the way that they structured their government is what like basically the US and a bunch of other countries too basically took the idea from them on how to govern. Iroquois, thank you, the Iroquois. I was forgetting about them. And like this is not to romanticize large swaths of people though, because like romanticizing is never a good thing to do. Like a lot of pre-Columbian Meso and South American cultures did do human sacrifices. A lot of peoples all over the West Coast uh practice slavery. I think on the East Coast too, but I'm not too familiar. And basically we're just doing human things that humans have done, good and bad. But it's important to like talk about talk about people as people because like now I don't know, it should be common sense that like people are people, and you should talk about people's history with respect and also not romanticize because that sort of spins back around to being inaccurate and stereotypic. or stereotypal. I forget what the word is. But then, like, on the other hand, people look at all these like civilizations that did human sacrifices. So this is damn. Damn, I should have seen that coming. It's a shame that I'm the only one not invited. Damn, rip. Okay, let me look at the wrong side. Okay, so around here is okay. Oh, that was smart of me. I also did high and low pressure bands for wind. That's very smart of me. That was a good idea that I had. Thank you, Artifexian, for telling me about it. I don't remember specifically learning it from him, but I probably did. And so I'm going to give credit anyways. Another important thing about world building specifically is figuring out, rather than necessarily what people did, figure out why they did it. Because usually these figuring out the why of things helps you add similar stuff or similar conditions into your setting and make things just more realistic. So, like, for instance, having high and low pressure thing shows where wind blows, and if wind goes onshore versus offshore, it completely changes the environment. Same with water going, like warm water versus cold water versus going inshore versus going out of shore. It's very important to figure out, and I want to become smart enough. Actually, no, that's not accurate. I'm smart enough. It's just I want to get educated enough. Because smart and educated are not the same thing, but education is very important. It's always good to learn. I just got reminded through like a long train of thought that led me to thinking about Drock and then thinking about the titular island. That the Victoria Island is pretty close to me, all things considered. Like, I'm not super close to it, but I'm not super far to it either. And like, it's it's a shame that I can't just go. Thank you, storage warning. Very cool. I kinda don't care right now. I'll figure you out later. I'll delete some drawings that I finished but haven't deleted the file of. Very cool and awesome. Thank you for reminding me. You know, one of my biggest passions is learning about people, like both contemporary and history. So like I will never say that I'm good at it or that I know a lot. It's just that I'm passionate about it. Is sort of the thing. It's like I know that I don't know shit. I learned that I don't know shit when I took some anthropology and archaeology classes, which I would like to take again once my financial situation gets better, because that's really fun. It's so fun to learn about people. Like, I don't know a lot, and I'd like to learn a lot. My cat's twitching in her sleep on my lap, and I'm feeling it on my belly, and it feels weird. It feels weird. I'm glad you're comfy though. Like when I learned about the moche, I sort of decided to do that paper and that all that research on a whim, because like the other choices were stuff like Mesopotamia, the Aztec, the Olmec. Ah, there were a few others. There was like I think there was also like Stone Age, or not Stone Age, but like Bronze Age China also. And so there were all these options, and I figured I'd choose the one that I felt like a lot of other people would not have chosen. Because, like, the big one, the big sort of like ancient civilizations that everybody, oh, and also ancient Egypt, are like a lot of the ones that I figured people would already be researching. So I decided to sort of be hashtag quirky and different, and it took me on a surprising and wonderful journey, is the best way to put it. So, sometimes you just have to like learn stuff and go after stuff that like not many other people would really care to learn, because who else is gonna know it? And sometimes you'll find that it's some of the best time of your life. Which is funny for me to say because I'm like 21. I have not lived a lot of life yet. So really, who am I to give any sort of wisdom when I don't really know what I'm talking about? But like, I like talking and I think a lot, so those are two dangerous things to put together. I've done all this progress. I should probably save. One thing that makes me really upset, thinking about like archaeology, is is that Rome completely erased Carthage, basically. So we don't really know a lot besides like the Punic Wars and what Rome itself said about the Carthaginians, which is to say, don't trust that because they hated the Carthaginians. It's like I don't know. I would have liked to know about what life was like in Carthage. Right, we know a lot about what life was like in the Roman Republic and Empire, and then later the Western and Eastern Roman empires, and then Byzantium, and then this stuff just keeps going on. But Carthage is like gone, as far as I'm aware. As far as I'm aware, Carthage is just like gone, gone. That's just sort of the thing that happens with an expansionist empire. Is that they go, I don't like this group of people that's getting in my way. I'm going to erase them. I, I need to remember that I can't just control Z on things sometimes because I do things in a weird order. One of my favorite things about drawing like banded hills like this is that oftentimes it ends up looking kind of like either wood grains or like a fingerprint or like a weird mix of both, kinda, and that's very pretty. It's an insanely pretty thing, I think. Adding detail is my favorite thing. People tell me that I'm very good at doing detail, and I tell them no, I'm not. I just kind of work at stuff until it looks good. I don't really focus on stuff all that much. The difference between detail and not detail is just time. It's just time and patience. That's the key to any art is time and patience because everything starts off not looking good until it looks good. I think that this here will be a lot less banded. Like this river valley here will be a lot less banded because the water erosion is creating a structure more like the rivers. So there might be some, but I need to think about where the rivers actually go. Whereas with this, there are rivers, but they don't really. I'll change it once I figure it out. And yeah, yeah, figuring stuff out is the fun of it. I need to edit this bay real quick. You know, all the elevation stuff that I'm doing is based on meters because I learned it from Artifexian. So the white is 0 meters. This is basically sea level. This sort of light pink here, and it slowly goes from like pink to red going up, or not pink to red, white to red going up, and then white to blue going down. Is my plan where white is sea level. This light pink here is 1,000 meters. So there's a bunch of elevation here that I'm not considering because it's below 1,000 meters. So this kind of looks even more flat than it actually is. But there's probably stuff that's like, I don't know, a few hundred. Which I'm probably going to add in whenever I decide to do regional maps because I feel like that's more important for more zoomed in maps like that. Also, I figured out my issue with converting imperial to metric, and it's not because I don't know metric. I know metric because I was forced to learn because science uses metric, which is the right thing to do. Metric is the proper system, and don't let any uh, anybody tell you otherwise, even though haha funny what the fuck is a kilometer meme, which I do find incredibly hilarious. Just metric is better. And so I do know metric. It's just converting between the two is hard. I'm just looking at things. All right. You know, basically with this, and I did research on how high a mountain can be because like on an Earth-like planet, because there is a maximum height to a mountain, it turns out, before like gravity takes over, and it's around 12K ish. It's about it's about 10 kilometers round. Like no, it's more like 12 kilometers roundabout is like the maximum height a mountain can be, I think. Let me double check that. I did research on that, but it might be wrong. So I'm gonna double check. How tall can a mountain possibly be? I was wrong. It turns out, the maximum height of a mountain on Earth can theoretically reach 15,000 meters. Yeah, the thing is, you kind of have to you kind of have to measure with smelly feet when every single thing is measured that way in your country. So I kind of have to know, like, feet, inches, miles, inches. I like inches as a measurement. Like inches are a good measurement. I think not because they're efficient, but because they're inches are nice. They sound nice. The word inch is really fun to say. You know, I believe it's about 2.5 inches to like a 5 centimeter, like roundabout. So that helps me convert a little bit. But like the fact that you go centimeters, uh, de- like decimeter, kilometer. There are other meters beyond that, but you have a designated like naming system for a measurement than like 5, 10, 100, 1,000 times that measurement. All right, thank you. Thank you for the conversion rate. No, I don't know how to do that. There we go. Like the funny even has, man, even your miles are better. Man, rip. I'm looking up the conversion now. square mile is equivalent to 1,609.34 meters. What kind of conversion is that? Yours yours is just a nice even 10. 10 is a great number. 10 is a wonderful number. We have 10 fingers, 10 toes on average. On average, there are exceptions. But on average, we have 10 fingers, 10 toes. 10 is a good measurement to count. Our numbers are base 10. It's nice. And then Imperial System does not do that. It doesn't do that. Because I don't know, I guess the weights fell. For 8,280 feet, you say? No, hold on, left you. Oh, scrumptious. I don't mean to make fun of foot fetishists. It's just like, their brains are literally wired different. Oh no, you're right. Base 12 is better. No, you're right. Because the human brain, the maximum, like, the human brain is really good at seeing threes without counting. Right? We're really good at, we can see three without counting, but after that, our brains mentally, four or higher is we have to count. But so with base 12, you have a bunch of threes. So it makes sense. And also you can count base 12 by like counting the knuckles on your fingers with your thumb. Like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There it is. It's very simple. It's very easy. It's very nice. Base 10s are also great. Base 10s, base 12s, very good, because those like go down to their base components of 5 and 3, which are very nice numbers. 5 and 3 are amazing numbers. The squares of both 5 and 3 are very pretty. They are gorgeous numbers. And honestly, I understand why Imperial System has the yard being 3 feet as a measurement. Like that seems like kind of an odd measurement for a system. Like, what do you mean only 3 feet can fit in a yard? It the foot fetishist is really living on slim margins with the yard. Keep messing up because I forget what I was doing and then I start a different thing. There we go. With this, I'm kind of mixing. Uh, I'm sort of squashing down the region that this is based on a little bit, because in reality, there's like. Hold on. There's like the Seattle Bay, and then you go down, and then here's the Columbia. Here, here's the island where Drock lives. Here's where I live, roughly, somewhere. And then you go down, here's the Columbia. Then the Columbia, like, goes up into BC, and then it splits off with the Snake River. Actually, no, I don't live there. I live roughly here. Here's the Olympia Range. Here's the Coastal Range. Uh, here's the Cascades. Oh, shit, sorry. Hold on. Shit. Alright, what was the last thing I said? I'll repeat I'll repeat what I was saying about this region. Um, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. So what I remember saying is that I can redo this and just sort of start again. So this region here is sort of a squashed down and simplified sort of version of my beloved Pacific Northwest, because this bay here is based on the Seattle Bay, and there's also, this is Drockland. This is where Drock lives, right here, I believe. And then you go down, and then here's the mouth of the Columbia, and then it goes down, and then like that, and then here's where the Snake River splits off from the Columbia, goes up into British Columbia. Long live Drakistan, exactly. So it's, the actual state borders are something more like this, unfortunately. Actually more like this. What I fully believe is that Oregon should have the south part here underneath the Snake River, because then it actually matches actual geography. But here's the Columbia, and then here's Oregon. And then over here, roughly like that, is Idaho. And then Montana. Nevada. It splits off from Nevada, and then the north of California. And so here's the Olympia Range. Here's the Coastal Range. Here's the Blue Mountains. The Rockies proper, right around here. The Cascades, which go up to, I think, around here and down to about there. So this is sort of the region that I'm basing this off of right here, but it's a lot more simplified, because instead of let's say the Willamette River Valley right here feeding into the Columbia and going out here, this is where I live, by the way, right here. Very pretty place. Highly recommend visiting. Highly recommend visiting the Pacific Northwest sometime when the country is not doing what it's doing right now. So instead of having the Willamette go into here, what I'm basically having it do is going directly into the Seattle Bay. On fire, and also the other half frozen. And a bunch of flooding, and we got a typhoon recently, which is basically just hurricane but Pacific. And it was pretty bad. A lot of people lost power up in Washington. Uh, it just barely missed us here, like very barely. Like we got so lucky. Oh yeah, the thing that with the military helicopter. Yeah, that. Oof. It's weird how you fire a bunch of people in the flight control, like the group of people that does flight control, and then suddenly there's a crash that happens. Weird how that works. It's almost like you need some people to do flight control. Because flying is hard and people are not meant to do it. Who knows what we're meant to do? We've been on the moon. So, like, who is to say what we can and can't do? We can do anything, including crashing. That mid-air thing it was tragic, though. Like, genuinely, there needs to be an investigation about that, but I don't know if there's gonna be. Because like some like Olympic sport type team was on it. There were some like doctors. Like, it was a very high. It was a very like not just regular people on that plane. So like you'd think that the government would actually care about the not regular people, but Mortal Man was not meant for 3 a.m. gas station sushi. That is so true. And also, it just so happens we are not meant to spend all of our lives working because that's not how our bodies work. Turns out we need rest and proper food and water, and enrichment. Turns out that we need enrichment, much like a lot of other animals. So maybe it would be good to maybe have some better outdoor areas, maybe. Smiles so sweetly at my city. Smiles so sweetly. Maybe some public places where people can actually mingle without having to pay money. Smiley face. I would love more parks. There's a park nearby to where I live, which I'm super lucky for, and I go walking. There's also a really pretty nature trail nearby. So like I'm very lucky, but I would like more of that for other people, thank you. Because it turns out that we need enrichment for good mental health. And what does not consist of good enrichment? 3 a.m. gas station sushi. That is bad enrichment. The Pacific Northwest, like not just in the U.S., I'm talking about like British Columbia too. But they're pretty good recently when it comes to like public transit and like actual public spaces. I'm very happy with what's happening right now, like locally. So like I'm very happy about that. I love public transit. Like that scene of Pim from Friends? Uh, that's me, except I'm like, I love transit, Charlie. I love transit. I love I love public transit and trains, Charlie. I love it so much. It makes me happy when people make good trains and light rail and monorails and proper bus lanes and having cities be perfectly walkable for human beings. It is, yeah, I'd say that's pretty negative for enrichment. That's pretty negative for enrichment. It's a good thing that, Oregon and Washington, along with other states, are currently suing the federal government. Which is good, because that means that, the, the federal government's getting, you know, actually, like, held somewhat accountable. Oh, lucky. I don't I don't live too far from a train station, but it's more accurate to say that it's a light rail tram system than a train system. Because thankfully for thank goodness for Portland hooking us up with their transit. We technically only have one train line, and it only leads to Portland, which is good. It's better than nothing, but I'd like a bit more than that. Our buses are good though. Our buses are very good. It's just that I happen to live in a very lucky position where I can walk to everywhere I need to go, so I don't need to take a bus. But like our buses are good. I like our buses. I don't like what I'm doing here, so I'm gonna erase this. I firmly believe that the start of the downfall of and I don't mean America as in the USA. I mean America as the continent. The downfall of America was removing our trains. We need trains back. Oh, oh, I love transit. I saw recently that there's like a bunch of transit projects happening, like up in BC and Washington, and Oregon too a bit, but mostly BC and Washington. And so like I'm very happy. I'm very happy that we're actually doing trains in the Pacific corridor. I hope we can link up with California a bit more. Because like they're also a part of the corridor. It's just they've got their own thing going on. And I think maybe people would like to be able to go back and forth more. I guess that's a lot easier said than done when like Oregon is like three-fourths the size of Germany. And so Washington on top of that and California is like a lot of area to make a big transit system. But like, I'd like it. I'd like to be able to go places without needing a car. I've seen a map of EU transit lines. I'm jealous. I've seen a map of the Chinese transit system and the Japanese transit system. I'm so jealous, dude. I'm so unbelievably jealous. Let me tell you, once this setting gets to like times with technology, I am adding so many trains. Like, it's funny, I don't even like individual kinds of trains. I just like trains as a concept. I like trains and what they do for transportation and people. I like how they facilitate really cheap, uh, like longer distance interaction between people in real space, just like how the internet does with the digital space. I like how it's a much cheaper and more reliable way to transport goods and services to people. Like it's much more efficient than fucking trucks. They create. God, I fucking hate cars. I don't like cars. Like I like vehicles that drive on roads, but those are the ones I like aren't really cars. I like buses. I like trains. I like the trucks I like are worker vehicles that do stuff in like more rural areas where a train wouldn't make sense, or maybe there's like a few hundred or a few thousand people. Also, it's not true that cars create suburbs. There were transit suburbs, and those were good. We figured out how to make good suburbs, and it's getting rid of the car. Uh, let's see if I can pull it up. I can't find the meme. I can't find the meme. I was trying to find the meme of Lightning McQueen going, "I fucked your mom, shit lips." Also, no, they did not make lobster a luxury item. The rich made lobster a luxury item. Because they went, "This is delectable. I want a lobster." And so it became more and more expensive for just the common people to have lobster. It's relatively cheap in places like Maine. We don't get lobster here. We get crab. We get a lot of crab. We're kind of known for our crab. We should do more sustainable fishing, I think. Also, another important thing that we need for like those who do still want to use like cars and things, more roundabouts. Ah, yes, yes, right. Right, I forgot. I forgot, my bad. No, you're right. It's not that I didn't know, it's that I'm dumb and forget things. You see, I have this superpower known as, learning a lot of stuff and then forgetting it like 3 weeks later. It's amazing. I love that. I love my memory. God, no, it's not even Americans. It's just our civil engineers. Like, literally, basically every American is like, hey, we want roundabouts because there are terrible car crashes at this dog awful, like, intersection. And then civil engineers are like, how about an 8-way intersection where, like, three of those can't see the others because, like, the angles are bad and there's buildings in the way. Now you don't know which state I'm talking about because the answer is all of them. I hate our civil engineers so much. They need to do better. They need to be better. They need to play God of War Ragnarok and have Kratos tell them, no, we can be better than this. And then they make more suburbs that are dependent on the cars, and nobody wants those. That's the thing. Like, the American people are not stupid. We know what's good, it's just we're not getting what's good. Sorry, I'm really passionate about cities. I hope that wasn't off-putting. You know, and like all the really cool infrastructure that was made, like in from the 30s to the 60s, are like all deteriorating now, which means all the good stuff that was made is dying. Yeah, of course. You know, you, uh, you know the 2025 model of the Ford Kid Crusher. And can I just say, cul-de-sacs are like the worst invention a civil engineer has ever made, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I feel like I am getting a feeling that there's like one civil engineer out there that created like the Torment Nexus or something, and I just don't remember. And I need to get rid of this stuff because it's not good. Boy, Hmm. Ah, yes, the trains. Yeah. How could I have forgotten about that? How could I have forgotten about that? No, you're right. Oh God. I genuinely want to punch anybody who's like, oh, at least the trains ran on time. Oh yeah, because I'm American and, uh, we're a forgetful bunch. Now that reminds me, I saw a video of like one of the last like American World War II vets break down crying because like the country he fought for is dead. That's horrifying how fast the United States can forget. And the world is scary right now, which is why I'm drawing mountains, because mountains will stick around and they're very cool. Let me pop up Montana night sky. Let me go to screenshots and then. Ah. Oof. I'm really glad that you get to do like I'm so glad that you you guys have the opportunity to go down there and be like, this is physical history of some of the worst things humanity can possibly do. And as a physical reminder to never do it again and to hopefully never let anybody do it again. Yeah, I'm so glad you're not forgetting. Because somebody has to remember, and we had somebody do a certain salute at the inauguration. So, hold on, I will be right back. Let me mute myself real quick. So sorry about that. Someone came in asking if I fed the cats, and I think I did. Uh, in case I didn't, then I'm gonna go check real quick. I'll do a funny quick BRB. Yeah, before I leave, yeah, no, there's a big split of never again and never again to us. But yeah, no, I'm gonna go check on the cats real quick. Alright, I have returned. Let me get rid of the BRB. There are good things happening in the world, though. Quite a lot, actually. It's just sometimes it's hard to, pass through the really horrifying stuff. And California is putting out a petition to its people to leave the United States, which means it could become its own independent state, maybe eventually. And because whatever California does, the rest of the Pacific sort of follows suit. That means that we might be able to leave the U.S. and maybe join Canada, like that one Canadian uh, politician. I forget her name, but she's really nice. She's the head of the Green Party. I was like, hey, maybe Oregon, Washington, California can join the Canada, maybe. Yeah, the problem is that the Civil War was started because a bunch of states wanted to do slavery, and the other half were like, maybe enslaving people and, you know, keeping people in farms and breeding them like cattle and using them and their hair and their meat and their skin for things is barbaric and horrible, and maybe we shouldn't do that because that's like evil. Not exactly the best comparison to this. However, it would be nice to not be in the U.S. but still be where I live, because this part of the world is beautiful. The people are nice. Most of my friends and family are here. That's okay. That's not quite accurate. There is still an avenue for secession because secession is enshrined in the Constitution as a right the states have, so they can't get rid of it. However, it's a much more prolonged and complicated process that involves getting consent from other states to leave, which basically means that for California to leave, for instance, I forget the amount of states that would have to agree to it, but if there comes a point where enough states want to leave, then they'll just vote for each other too, which means that like it's no one state can really leave, but when a state leaves, it's sort of like the dissolution of the entire country now, basically. And so that might be what happens. Uh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you can overthrow the government, but you can't leave. Uh, because the other states, dude, especially California. Like California and New York are the money makers of the U.S. They're massive, like massive, massive economies. So honestly, it's more likely that the U.S. would lose states due to annexing rather than secession, which would be a lot less of a cool option, honestly, because that would mean that there's actual war on our doorstep, which is becoming a bit more likely. I can't wait for the history books to tell about this time in history, because this will be like a lot of people in the future will see this and go, I want to do something like that for my world building project. And that means that, you know, people's world building will get even more wacky and wild in the future. Like I don't think the Babylonians or like any other group or like the Romans or like any other group of people in the past could have conceived that like they would go down in history and then people would see them and go, that's interesting. I'll write something like that, but different. Because people never really think about how they're a part of history. I hear my cat meowing, but I know that I just fed them. I wonder if she wants into a room that she's not supposed to be in. And another thing that I fully believe is that for when people see this part in like history, it'll be another example of like how empires fall, which is very good research material, right? It's just a shame that we have to live through these times. But for the people that don't have to live through these times, it'll be super cool and interesting. That's not like a pessimistic, like, oh no, the American Empire is falling. It's more like hopeful for the future that people look at this and find some worth out of it. Because that is always what happens out of like anything. Is that people will somehow find a thing worthwhile out of history. Whether it be like a lesson for what to do or a lesson for never do this again because it's bad and horrible. And turns out that people deserve to have basic human respect. The American experiment is failing. That is true to a certain extent. Um, I think the reason I say that is because I think the American experiment has already failed. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, like in California. I think people should sue State Farm for misinformation due to their slogan, because like a good neighbor, State Farm was not there. Not even for the rich people, which you'd think, like, in a place where rich people are, you know, this place is great if you're rich. You'd think that they'd support them, but no. No, not them either. Again, people in the future will look back on the U.S. And learn some lessons from it, hopefully for the better, or maybe just for what something happening looks like. I firmly believe that progress cannot be undone. It's just sometimes the journey there is not at a linear speed. So I think people in the future will learn from us. I mean, yeah, kind of. Like, there's a certain extent of like how much can you do when an entire city is burned now, right? Like, that's Los Angeles. Like, let me look at largest U.S. cities. Yeah, so the order is New York City and then Los Angeles. Our second largest city burned to the ground. So like I kind of like it kind of makes sense. A little bit of like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for, like, relief efforts and such, but still. I mean, yeah, to a certain extent. But the thing that bugs me, though, is that they canceled the insurance, like the fire insurance, on all these people a month before these fires happened. So, like, it wasn't just denying them the insurance they had, it was, like, weirdly poignant, like, removing these people from the insurance. Like, I'm not a conspiracy dude or anything, I'm just saying it's very soon after sort of showing that, hey, maybe it wasn't a good idea to cut that insurance. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is a legal difference to that. The outcome's the same, but there is a difference. Yeah, it's a shame that we don't have nationalized healthcare like every other country, basically. Because, that would be cool. That would be very cool to have, I think, because then hundreds of thousands of fewer people would die every year. Like that would be cool. I like people living. Living is good, and I'd like to do more of it, and I want other people to do more of it also. Hmm. Yeah, that is fair. It's just that it was probably the worst time for them to do that. Right? Like it was immediate. Like just a month. Right? And not to mention that people's opinions of insurance companies are at an all-time low. So like I don't know, it wasn't a great time for them to do that. But I get why they did that. Because that is like millions of people. Yeah. And just because like yeah, of course this is what they were gonna do because like obviously that's a reasonable reason behind doing that, right? Like if you're thinking about profits as a company, it's still just a rough situation though, and you can't really like, you can't really go on the side of the company because of how many people's lives just burned down. I really like how this is looking. It's something I can do that I hadn't really thought about until recently. Is I can have funny lower creases. I mean, I'm probably like the thing is, like, this is psychology when, like, this is what happens naturally in the human brain when you're thinking about your profits and, like, you know, your general well-being versus others is sometimes like it makes sense, right? It makes sense for them to do this. It just also still really sucks that they did it. Like, it makes perfect sense that they wouldn't renew it because they wanted more, like, they didn't want to lose a lot of money. Like, that makes sense. It Sometimes what makes sense isn't right or kind, though, which is sort of an issue. Kind of want to get rid of that bit, but I liked this thing here. You know, I think that the American experiment, quote unquote, failed already. It failed in the 80s, I think. And we've just sort of been lying to ourselves. And obviously, like, I'm not gonna pretend like anywhere else is perfect. Like, I'm sure the EU, as you're more aware than me, has its own problems. But, like, yeah, like I said, 1980s. Uh, Ronald Reagan. It, you want to know something I learned recently, which is a shame that we're not taught this. Do you know what Hitler's slogan was? Like, on the campaign trail when he was, like, before he became a dictator and when he was, like, worming his greasy little, like, pants shitting hands into politics. It was "Make Germany Great Again." And look at what Ronald Reagan's slogan was: "Make America Great Again." And look at what Donald Trump got it from: Ronald Reagan. So if we as the American people paid attention to history, we would have seen it coming. We would have seen the failure happen with Reagan before it was too late. But instead, Carter failed to be elected for a second term, and now we're here. So, this is the world we're living in. And as it turns out, mountains are pretty cool. I like drawing mountains a lot, and hills and coastlines, and I like thinking about climate and how and what kinds of weird fantasy people there are, and sometimes it's just nice to take a moment when able and just sort of, I don't know, do something, create something, add a little bit of positive. Is the more I work on this particular map, and I've been working on this file and like deleting and redoing things and adding and deleting and and shaping and like shifting around for years. And each time I do so, the stuff inside of it, the things that I keep slowly get better and better and better until like it'll be done. And I'm slowly seeing more and more stuff be permanent. And seeing more and more stuff be permanent means that I am making progress. Progress is good. I like progress. I like seeing I like seeing things move forward for the better. I've been seeing a lot of positive social change. Like, not necessarily anything political, but like, society. Society is moving forward and becoming more and more accepting on average. And you can't exactly undo that. Like, you can undo laws, you can criminalize being a certain kind of person, you can deny the existence of others through legislature, but you can't undo people's social acceptance of others like that easy. And seeing some of the positive change is really heartwarming and is a nice reminder that, people are good on average. It's just that the bad people are very vocal and are typically in places of power. The long, like so, and erase. There we go. I hope whatever comes after the United States finishes dying is better. I'm sure it will be. As I work a bit more back and forth, I'm slowly but surely finding things that I like and keeping them, and then it's not fast progress. Alright. Alright, so my computer said that my recording for this is too big and I ran out of space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to discard that, do some stuff, and then get the recording from Twitch, because the Twitch also lets me have a recording. So that it'll be fine. It'll be fine and good. There have also been a lot of protests recently. I haven't gotten a lot of news about stuff in Portland, but I'm sure there are. There are always protests in Portland because people see that stuff is bad and want it to not be. I like Portlanders well enough. Why did it tell me it couldn't save? I hadn't saved yet. Okay, I'm dealing with technical difficulties? Hold on, storage. Whoa, where did that come from? Whoa. Yeesh. Uh, I think I know why that happened. Oh, stream elements updated. Let me uninstall some things real quick. That should be fine. No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to update. Thank you. I want to open it. Why do I have to update it? I don't have the I literally don't have the space. I was opening the wrong thing anyways. That's why. First of all, uninstall that. And uninstall that. And I need to keep you guys. Why can't I uninstall Microsoft Edge? I want it gone. Takes up way too much space. I'm going to uninstall that because I could just get that back again. I keep trying to uninstall that, but it comes back. It's gone now. Ah, so much. Oh, that's so much. Task manager, kill him. I'm sorry about this, everybody. I have to deal with stuff and problems with fucking storage space. Get rid of that. I need to keep you open so that I can close stuff that needs to be closed. And move you. Alright, and that should be something. I have done that. I can close that. I need to see my storage. Alright. Let me make that big again so that there's something else on the screen. There we go. Let's see my documents. Sort, size. Show more options. Delete. Delete. Huh. Alright, and let's see the size after I do that. I hate that I have to keep this open or else I will not see. Alright. And alright. Alright, let's see how much space that gives me. Empty recycle bin. Okay, that gave me some space. Okay, that saved a lot of space. Okay, sorry for the black screen. I had to have that for some reason, but now my space is good. My space is very good. After stream, I will go on and look at uh, my art files and then start deleting the ones I don't need to have anymore because I've already finished them and I have the other ones. Oh, yeah! I'm very excited about that. I think I managed to catch the teching. I might have caught. No, I didn't catch the teching thing live, but I saw the VOD. I I'm probably gonna check out the video too. Thanks for letting me know. Uh, because the editors do a great job on those videos. I know that Drock gives the editors a lot of credit, but I don't think like just normal people give editors enough credit for like the work they do. I think Drock's editors particularly are some of my favorite. Yeah, exactly. That's what happens. And it's not like I'm waiting on like actually having money to like pay somebody to be an editor. 'Cause I already have someone as someone who's done video editing. Yeah. Uh I don't do a lot of video editing, but I edit all these VODs like minimally, right? So I know video editing a little bit. And God, editors don't get enough credit for like the master classes stuff they manage to do because I don't know jack shit, right? I don't know anything about editing yet. I'll get there eventually. Like like and I have a close personal friend of mine who like wants to edit for me. And I'm like, and I have to wait on that because I want to properly pay him like for his work cuz people deserve to get paid for their work. I know, shocker. Shocker, people deserve to be paid for their work properly and with enough money to actually live on and not be in crippling debt. Look, looks at a big company. Oh yeah, no. God. For like simple unedited stuff that's just like one video strip, one audio strip. Nothing complicated, like just that with some snips. At 30 frames a second, it takes the video's length. Like at least for me, it takes the video's length. Oh fuck. Oh, that reminds me. Back in high school, I'm glad the teacher did this now, but it freaked me out, and I kind of completely broke down doing it. Uh, but instead of like a normal English file, not file, English final, we had to do like a film because film is another way of getting ideas across. So it was meant to be a group project. I did the entire thing by myself. I animated it. I am not saying it was good, by the way. It was dog shit. I did not do a good job. I don't think. But I did the animation, I did the editing, I did the rendering, I did all of it. And it takes so much work. And the fact that I have somebody who's just willing to like he's willing to do it for me without pay, but I refuse to not pay him. Because like I'm bad at it, but I know like the amount of effort and time that goes into actually doing it. But the teacher for the final I did, my teacher thought that I did a good job, so I got like a 90 out of 100. I got an A on that assignment, which like literally saved my grade. Oh yeah, maybe so. He has been going off and on to school for um like filmmaking and cinematography. See, I'm going to school for things more like anthropology and natural resources, so I am building a different skill set. However, I know how impressive you know a lot of this stuff is, and I want to pay him. I He deserves to be paid, especially since he also works full time. Like when I say he works full time, I mean he works full time on an Amazon time schedule. Like it's rough. He deserves to be paid enough to get out of that because yeesh. Also, I keep telling him to join a union. I like I keep telling him this. Oh yeah, fair enough. There's this stream series that I'm doing preparation for. That he basically like at gunpoint was like, I am going to edit this for you. Uh, that I have to do a bunch of stuff for it first and a bunch of research. But my friends and I want to do a funny thing where basically I explain the history of Undertale AUs and he, digital gun pointed at my funny digital head. I will edit for you. So I have no choice in the matter on that. I just need to actually do the research for that and like put together some sort of bullet point list of stuff and draw and set up the PNG tubers for them, which I'm already like a third of the way done with, because I have one of theirs done. It it won't happen for a while, but it'll happen. I think it'll happen later this year, which is saying saying a lot. Not saying much, I mean, because it is January. I've seen some of his meme edits that he's done. He knows how to edit. Ah, not for me yet. It's not. Uh, it is still January 31st for me. So in no, I know. I'm saying from my experience, I know he's a good editor, so I know he's capable. It's just he has to get the actual portfolio out there. it's there is definitely a difference between I know he's capable and stuff that an employer would want to see. I just got reminded. There's this like My Hero Academia fan edit that I saw that is set to Chromacopia that is genuinely like breathtaking. I don't know how to like they edited bits from the manga. It's one of those like really cool fan edits. And like it is genuinely like industry worthy editing. My friend didn't make that though, unfortunately. It's just some random edit I saw. It's good though. Oh yeah, fair enough. I was actually gonna say that I was gonna end stream soon, so perfect timing. So I am going to switch to this, and I'm going to say now that I have any amount of space on my computer again, I'm going to save my project, and I'm going to say I have been Bajongles. You can find me on socials at Big Boy Art One. Uh, you can find me over here on Twitch on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays at noon PST. And have a wonderful day. Bye bye, all. Bye, Gremlin. It's been wonderful talking to you.